All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CSL week number 9, Illinois versus University of Texas. We have I guess, a familiar face and a new face, depending on how long you've been watching CSL. It's going to be Gorgon at the Wonder Cow joining me on the casters table today. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm very happy to be back. This is my first official cast, I think, except one very, very short stint for like emergency coverage for BTS. I don't think I've casted since the TI7 qualifiers, so it
Well,
is nice to be shaking the rust off, my man.
I mean, at least even if you're rusty, since you have so much more casting experience than most of us who cast here anyways, I don't think anyone is going to complain about your casting. So, no worries there.
That's setting a high bar that I will try to limbo on.
I mean, you're in a way setting a high bar for us. I'm casting TI. I mean, actually, I mean, I casted the open qualifiers. Well, anyone can cast open qualifiers, but you cast for BTS and all that crazy stuff.
If I've got to be real honest with you, open qualifiers are way harder because that is just chaos.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know how you get through that.
it really did kind of teach me and Viv some endurance in casting. It was actually an experience that like I would not want to do again, but I kind of do at the same time. It was such a team building experience.
And that is ultimately the casting journey.
It really is.
It is a thing that you don't want to do again, but really sort of do.
Yeah.
A team building experience.
For sure. I mean, the more you get used to casting with someone, the better your casting sounds. So, I mean, working with a partner has been quite nice.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I'm happy that you've let me do your partner on out of here to take a seat with you. And I'll just try to make sure that I don't step on your feet.
I mean, also casting with new casters is also great too because then you can kind of get you out of your comfort zone as well. Learn something new from other people because everyone do things slightly differently, something better and something worse, and it's just a way to all get better at casting, right?
Yeah, and that's very much the same as playing, and CSL is the sort of organization that really benefits from that. And a lot of these players are return players that all have seen in the last couple of years. Some of them on every team is going to be some new players that I haven't seen, but you guys have been seeing. And the fact that there's a revolving door where seniors are leaving the teams and then you're bringing in new freshmen, sophomores into the teams means that you're constantly going to be changing their styles. You're going to be exposing them to new ideas, just like having revolving door and casters, for example. And I think that you bring up a great point about the way that plays to the strengths of these teams and allows them to shift over time.
Yeah. So we have Illinois here versus Texas. So let me get you guys in with the scores here. So Illinois led off the fall season as 5-2. But they have started off the spring season with one loss so far. And similar story for UT Austin here. Although their fall season was undefeated 7-0. Actually, never mind. They're just undefeated overall. 1-0 in spring as well. 8-0 in total. So UT Austin coming in as, I gotta say, kind of a favorite here. And we'll see if Illinois can actually go against this team and see if they can give them the first loss of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching University of Texas Austin, which is labeled Team Texas here, coming in out of Division II. I think a year or two ago, and they came in through the season, and they've just been getting stronger and stronger. And part of that, I think, is the fact that they've had time to build up synergy, and part of that is that they've had some time to experiment with different players and different roles, different hero types and metas. They've been around for a while now in CSL, and you're really seeing the benefit of that experience come to them.
Yeah. I mean, the longer you play together as a team, the stronger you grow. And I mean, it's something that I feel like I can get more of an insight now. Dota is so much more than just individual skill. There's so much team play involved in it. And now with the inclusion of us being able to see what medals these guys have, the ancient medal or those MMR medals that have been included into the game, kind of lets us see like the MMR difference with the teams. And I've seen like time and time again teams even with lower MMR overall still beat teams with higher MMR just with better team play.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. And I will always say two things about CSL teams. If they come to me and ask me for strategy or ask me for advice, which has happened quite a lot over the years, I always say pick heroes that are in your comfort zone. Don't pick heroes that are in your meta, because the meta is going to be different between you and your team and you and your opponents, because the skill levels are so vast between members of a team and between opponents.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'd always say to them is make sure that you are just playing your game. Don't try to play too much into your opponents, and don't worry too much if your opponents seem like they have very high ranking, because teamwork and communication is the #1 thing that leads to success for CS now. Now, granted, when you do have a team like, for example, 2 years ago, the finals included a team that had Banana Slam Jamma on it, who now is a semi-pro player. He's playing for VGJ Storm, right? That team had a very good chance of winning, and in fact, I do believe went on to win. But
Not surprising.
of that level of you know, just sheer skill, and that team also had a very, very good communication, right? It wasn't just on his sheer skill of one player. It was a team of all 5K something players or higher. And anyway, I digress. But the point is, short of something extraordinary, communication wins over sheer mechanical skill in this type of a league.
So, speaking of some factors can play into people's play in Dota, some funny facts here about the Illinois player. Apparently, their mid is playing on a MacBook Air with the lowest resolution and has a keyboard attached that's bigger than the screen itself. That's crazy. Their mid player is playing with the lowest tech possible, almost.
We'll see how he does. I mean, that's Fear Dota right there, right? That's Dendy TI1.
Right.
So, you know, if he's a prodigy, he'll be able to pull it off, and if he isn't, then he won't. But I suspect, having gotten this far with the kind of record that they have,
yeah,
this guy is clearly making it work. I mean, I definitely saw, I want to say, one player in the 2016 season played with a trackball instead of a mouse.
Oh no, that's
I've
crazy.
seen some weird stuff over the years, my man.
Trackball. Oh my god.
Radiant team pick.
Wow, how do you even land any skills that way? That's crazy. I mean, I guess you gotta get used to it, but man, that blows my mind.
Yeah, I have no idea. But unfortunately, they ended up dropping out during the quarterfinals, leading into the playoffs. So I didn't actually get to see him in action, but they played very well, considering one of their players was playing with a trackball.
Yeah.
So we're getting pretty decently into the
10
draft.
seconds remaining.
Anything here standing out to you? Anything that you're really interested in seeing?
Omni Knight. I mean, it's funny because Illinois actually has like all heroes that I like to play in the meta right now: Shadow Shaman, Omni Knight, and Night Stalker. And Omni Knight actually has been kind of a center of attention recently, hasn't he? I feel like a lot of people are saying he is. I mean, it's not even recent. I mean, people have been always talking about how OP Omni Knight is, and I feel like people are talking about him in a different OP now. He kind of resides in the off lane and is quite competitive in that position.
Yeah, for heroes that have at least a 5% pick rate, Omni Knight is in the top 5 for win rates at the highest skill bracket.
Oh, that's
I think that
crazy.
He comes in at like a
10 seconds remaining.
55 or 56% win rate, depending on the week here right now. So
5 seconds
obviously, in higher skills, Omni Knight is a hero that allows you to give your mechanically most skilled players the best breathing room they can possibly have, and he's also very difficult to play around with that repel. One thing that he doesn't really provide you is a lot of control, but you pair him up with somebody like a Shadow Shaman, who is, by the way, the 3rd most picked hero in that same play bracket for pubs. You've got a really, really dangerous combination.
Right, and also another thing that people like to mention is kind of the lack of easy dispel now, with the diffusal not being, losing that dispel now. So buying Dispel for your Guardian Angel isn't as readily available now. You gotta get Necro 3, or you gotta get the Nullifier, which is quite expensive, and the build-up is awful compared to the easiest build-up of Diffusal Blade. So Guardian Angel isn't just kind of countered by having an Agi hero on the other team.
Yeah, and it's not just Guardian Angel, right? It's also that repel. It's very difficult to deal with now. And granted, they do have the Brewmaster, so he should be able to provide a dispel, if I'm not mistaken, still from one of his spirits. Though it's been a while since I played Brewmaster, and there's been a couple of changes to his talents. I just want to make sure before I talk too much about him that he does in fact have that ability still. But
5 seconds
generally speaking, Omni Knight should be very potent here. Now, one thing that you do need to keep in mind is that Ice Shards doesn't care if you're magic immune, because it creates impassable terrain, and also Static Link doesn't care if you become magic immune. Once you get that link on you, you still have to get out of there, or Razor's going to sap all your damage. So I do think that the response from Texas is reasonable. It's difficult to deal with that Omni Knight, but they're doing a pretty good job. I'm also interested to see that there's no Juggernaut play here whatsoever. There's no pick, no ban. This is the most popular carry in at least pub meta right now. I'm very surprised to see him just pass through.
Do you think they could pick it here? Oh, looks like they're going for the Tiny instead.
It looks like the draft, especially from Texas, is a little more influenced by maybe what you might see in some pro games.
Right.
I know Tiny is a little more popular in pro play than he is in pub play. Razor as well has started to become popular in pub play, but still hasn't reached those upper echelons. But I have seen Razor be popping up from time to time in my Dota feeds, so I know that he's been getting played around the world.
At least in CSL, I feel like I see him quite often, at least in the games I get to cast.
I think he's one of these heroes that, for the time being, is highly rated without necessarily being like a meta-shifting hero. He's not one of these heroes that has really seeped widely into everyday play yet.
Right. And speaking
of, might be getting there.
And speaking of dispels, Razor actually does have a dispel on him with that new unstable current. If you can get close enough, it will be able to dispel that Guardian Angel off of a target if they're close enough to him.
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that because I haven't seen this interaction before. But yeah, that's another interesting way that they should be able to make that interaction work. Now, it is difficult as a Razor with that relatively low movement speed in order to close that gap into the degen aura that's going to be coming out. And also, I mean, Morphling's a super mobile hero.
Yeah.
So is Night Stalker, especially now that he's able to fly with Hunter in the Night. They made that change quite a while ago, but I haven't casted, so some of these things feel new to me anyway. There's a lot of ways to prevent that Razor from closing gaps here.
So I'm going to introduce the UT Austin players here, if you don't mind introducing the Illinois player coming up next. So on the Rubik, we have Max Emo. On the Tiny, we have No Nut 2018. Good luck with that one. Erotic Chopstick on Tusk. Lucas on the Brewmaster. And finally on the bottom, Nobody playing the Razor.
And here for the dire side, summoning the power of omniscience, we've got Sweet Baba on the Omni Knight. Matt Sir is on the Shadow Fiend. Yuko is sliding around on that Morphling. Mr. Feed is summoning his Serpent Friends on the Shadow Shaman. And Dead is stalking around with Night Stalker.
Alright, so a pretty normal start here for both teams, getting 2 bounties each. I wonder if there are going to be any kind of like Tusk block plays coming out from either side. No, looks like not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like, partially probably because Tusk has a really low mana pool. He does have 2 Clarities, but with the Tusk and a Rubik, you have a real opportunity to get a First Blood either mid here or maybe rotating down into the bottom lane. Now that they do see the reveal of this aggressive tri-lane as well, their strategy is going to have to change a little bit. And you immediately see these guys. Yeah, they are going to rotate mid. They don't have a Smoke of Deceit, though, which is going to make this a difficult kill to get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also sitting pretty close to his tower, so unless there's some miraculous ice shards here, it might be pretty hard. And here he comes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they just were going to be a little bit short, it looks like. One right click. Oh, they are able to get it, actually. And I eat my words. And
here comes the Shackle coming, Mr. Feed. Maximo and No Nut 2018. They're going to come out fine. So great first blood gank here, even forcing out 2 rotation from the Illinois side.
Yeah, and that, I mean, undermines his aggressive tri-lane, right? Because now the Razor is going to have uncontested farm down in the bottom, or only contested by a Morphling who does not have the sort of attack range in order to really compete with the Razor or force the Razor out at this stage. That rotation also is going to take Shadow Shaman's mana. So now he only has mana for 1 Shackle before he pops a Clarity. That's going to be just undermining their ability to go get kills. Yuko is going to be a much more difficult kill to grab here. They're just coming down to harass, I suspect.
Yeah. So what do you think about the new Morphling? I know he was at least a very hotly contested topic with him being overpowered. Of course, recent nerfs has kind of made him disappear from the meta.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, in the rune spot here, we have a Shackle coming out to Tusk. Nobody's coming in to assist here. That might actually turn this onto Mr. Feet. But Erotic Chopstick looks like he is going to go down to the last punch here. And then Mr. Feet is going to be traded. Dead now being chased down. I don't think they'll be able to get a kill here. But a good amount of harass is being done by Maximo.
Morphling is a hero who, if you're good with Morphling, then you're good with Morphling. You understand how to use them. You'll probably be able to do some good split push and other things with them, pretty much no matter what they do to the hero. That said, there's a reason that this hero, every skill bracket, is sitting at around a 40-ish% win rate.
Oh, is it?
40 and 45. Yeah, and I don't think that he even has any significant amount of play at the higher skill brackets. Above 5K, I'd be surprised if you see more than a couple hundred Morphling games around the world in a week.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in official games for a while at the same time.
So, you know, it's one of those heroes that, this is what I'm talking about when I say play to your comforts, right? If Yuko knows this hero really well and feels comfortable with him, then sure, pick the Morphling, because this is CSL, it's not Pro Dota, and you are going to be able to get away with more when you know the hero well. So, you know, Yuko probably played a lot of this hero before he was nerfed, a lot of this hero back when he was OP, and feels comfortable that even though the hero is no longer that strong, his individual skill and his ability to communicate with his team what he's going to do is going to make up for it.
A little harass coming out into nobody here. Just a void being committed, nothing else. Looks like there might be something getting set up in the mid here. Rubik and Tusk both making the rotation. Tusk looks like he's holding onto an illusion rune, which isn't going to do anything. But Mr. Feed is waiting on the wing just in case if I matters do get dove with the shackles ready.
Yeah, and I just want to go ahead and say to some of our viewers, since we are starting to get some people here into the stream, if you want to talk about the game in Twitch chat, you're more than welcome to. Of course, you can also join our Discord community. Just go ahead and type !Discord for information about that. And CSL community is super friendly, and you can always talk about what these teams are doing, what's coming up, and you know what you think about what we're saying and what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're on Discord as well. So if you want to talk to us, that's one of the ways definitely to get in contact with us as well. If you want to flame our casting. Or tell us that we were doing a good job. Preferably a second one.
Preferably, but you know, every now and then you got to get a little burn.
Of course.
Okay,
There's a snowball up top
stop.
here coming to the stun and a slow coming out and the toss as well. He has no mana for repel or the purification, so it looks like this is going to be a pretty easy kill. Dead though, it's a dead nighttime coming with a double damage, but he's going to get turned around though with the avalanche coming out. But it looks like Dead is very fast at night. Toss is coming out. That isn't going to be enough. Mr. Feed is going to be feeding here to save the life of the Night Stalker with that shackle.
I'm not entirely sure that was necessary, but I guess it's a risk that you take, because throwing the Shadow Shaman in and making absolutely sure that you get the other hero out is I mean, he's just worth less, right? The Shadow Shaman does not give up as much by dying, and I wonder if he managed to buy out before he went down. I don't see any fresh wards or anything in his inventory, so I'm guessing that he lost some.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the poor support build, right? He has not a single permanent item in his build.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really rough, and it's partially because of these rotations that he's been making. I mean, he's still level 1.
Level 2 finally.
Okay, did he just get it? Yeah, he just rolled over.
Just got it, yeah. I was watching him,
5 minute
so.
and 26
Oh,
seconds.
middle lane, actually, a snowball roll in is going to come with the Shadow Fiend, and he's taking so much damage. He's going to toss out of the shards, though, but it's going to be a Maximo might go down, but no, he is going to be okay. He is even going to take the final blow on that demon himself.
Yeah, this has become a very difficult lane for the Shadow Fiend, because he has no ability to escape. He has no natural defenses. His only real natural defense is that he can output a ton of damage in a very short period of time if his laning phase has gone well. But because it's gone so poorly, he's
Bottom lane, actually, there's going to be a shackle coming onto the Razor, and a waveform in is going to be able to have enough damage. That is going to take the last hit on that, and they're going to be very happy. He's going to be able to get some revenge against the Texas team.
Much needed turn here, right, for our dire side team. Like, if they fail to get that and we start to roll into 10 minutes at 10 kills to 1 kill, and you start to see this Tiny and Razor get momentum, I don't know that there's recovering from that with a Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend is a core that you need a lot from, and a core that is entirely momentum based. As soon as you start losing out on souls, you start to have a lot of trouble keeping that Shadow Fiend relevant.
Yeah, which he has already lost souls twice now, which does hurt his last hitting. We can see the difference. 22 losses to 37 in the mid lane.
Yeah, he's only got 16 necromancy with that out of a potential 30, right? So he's down about 30 damage per hit right now from what he would have been if he hadn't died those 2 times.
Yeah, looks like the supports got found in the Radiant jungle here. There's going to be a lift to cancel that shackle. Mr. Feed looks like he is going to be fulfilling his name yet again. But they might be able to turn on Maximo. He is going to TP, but Erotic Chopsticks cancel his TP. And a Mist Shards is going to let that get away. But Maximo, you didn't even need that. But then again, actually, he's not going to take this shrine away from his carries either. So maybe he wanted to complete that TP. That's kind of a 50 gold minus there.
Yeah, it's... You know, the 50 gold's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but it is definitely enough to tilt you a little bit, right? You feel that loss in your pocket in the moment, and the emotional clarity of a player.
Oh, bottom lane is going to be a Void coming out into nobody. He's taking a lot of damage. Waveform also coming out of Shackle is probably going to guarantee this kill, but nobody's quite tanky. Shards come out to assist. Nobody has stolen all of Morphling's damage, but the final Void is going to be able to take him down. Yuko now sitting at negative 50 damage and not going to be able to last hit for a little while. Even with the strength morph coming out halfway, so definitely not enough damage. We're still going to take this time to take a bounty rune instead.
The timing on that was really smartly positioned, right? Because your Rubik had a cooldown on his Scroll Town portal, and they knew that, so they go in to move on the Razor knowing that there's not going to be a full TP entourage coming down to help him. If the Rubik had been able to get down there sooner, that's probably a 3-0 turnaround based on just the amount of damage that Razor was able to soak up. He didn't actually get a single right click, I don't think, once he had gotten that damage, though. Oh, he's going to go ahead and try to move on Dead up here.
Yeah, he is. He has Unstable Current coming up. Yeah, that's going to be another slow. It is daytime right now, so Dead is quite slow. Oh, and the double damage Tiny is going to seal the deal, and he wants to take this triple stack here, and nobody also assisting with that as well. A great victory here for UT.
Yeah, they are doing what they can with what they have, absolutely. And the way that you start to lose control of a game is not necessarily dying, right? It's losing momentum. So all UT really needs to make sure that they're doing here is maintaining control of what, you know, we in the old business would call throttle. You need to make sure that you are the one controlling when things are happening. You don't even necessarily need to be winning every one of those engagements. But if you are the one deciding when they happen, you're giving yourself the best shot.
I believe the youngins call that term now tempo. I think that's the term I've been hearing thrown around. Top lane, Dead getting rolled in on. That's going to cancel his TP, and no way of getting out of there alive. Nobody doing so much damage. Mr. Feed also coming in. Wrong place, wrong time again. The Shards is going to be there, and nobody taking the double kill.
I'm starting to see some self-fulfilling prophecies in these names. Dead, Mr. Fed. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think maybe you change your names before the next lobby.
Yeah, nobody, definitely not nobody this game, though. He is doing incredibly well. Second place in net worth, 4,100 for him so far. TP's bottom to take on more creeps.
Yeah, in fact, taking a look at the net worth, since we did just roll over the 10-minute mark, right? You've got 4,600, almost 4,700 for Tiny, 4,200 for Razor, about 4,200 for Brewmaster. The next closest is the Omni Knight.
Oh, that's crazy.
On Dire, and it's almost 1,000 shy. At this stage in the game, that means that he's sitting at like a 20-ish% deficit from his next closest opponent. And he's well over that from the other two. There's no way for them to be winning fights when they are that far behind. I mean, Omni Knight does not have an item completed. He's got Phase Boots and Soul Ring. He has no formal item.
Yeah. And the Poison 5 on Illinois is still only at 687 net worth as well. Oh, there I go, missing a kill in the mid lane. Looks like there was a toss kill with the Creep's dead body standing on top of Night Stalker there.
Yeah, this is starting to look really, really bad. And I don't really know what a team with the Shadow Fiend and a Morphling does here. You know, had you picked, for example, your Juggernaut or maybe even your Life Stealer, somebody like that who has a lot of like mid-game role, maybe you open up enough space for the Shadow Fiend to become relevant again too. But right now, Shadow Fiend's job is to maintain enough pressure to keep the Morphling with space. And he's just not able to do it at the position that he's in. He's 0-2 and 0. He has no items. He's queuing up a Blink Dagger, and he's really far away from it.
Yeah, I don't see a stack anywhere for him either, so
No.
looking for a stack right here at the very least. And he's
Yeah,
gonna
and
head back to mid.
a lot of this does come all the way back to that aggressive tri-lane just falling apart right at the beginning of the game due to very smart rotation from the Tusk and the Rubik into the mid lane. That immediately undermined the entire
Dire's
basic
bottom
strategy
tower is under
that was
attack.
supposed to be coming outside from the Dire.
Right, it's the Shadow Fiend that's supposed to be taking the control here in the mid game to make space for the Morphling, but now both of them are starving for farm.
Yeah. Illinois is going to try to start something.
Yeah,
down
so
here in
there's
the
going to be
bottom.
the Drain coming out, as you said, and he's going to be able to go through Repel, but they have no way to cancel that TP, so he's going to get out. Mr. Feed trembling for his life again, but this time he wasn't spotted. Oh, he's going to be able to sneak out there. It is nighttime, so they can't see him. Probably saw him with that static field, but he's going to be okay.
Yeah, but you know, now that nobody was able to get 115 damage, they knocked down that tower. They're knocking on this tower, and once again, like, this is the only moment in this game for the immediate future that Illinois would potentially be able to take a fight, because right now they're very far behind in gold, but none of these three heroes actually have completed
Radiant's
items
middle
in their
tower is under
inventory.
attack.
So the item differential, despite the gold differential, is not that serious right now, but it's about.
Well, there is going to be the fight coming out here onto the Omninet again. He is repelled up, but the damage drain is there. Nobody super damaging right now. 168 damage stolen. He does kill dead here, and Mistlefee stands no chance with that soft support body, and in the backline No Dot finds the Omninet who is running away.
I mean, the Shadow Fiend just got his recipe for drum of endurance. Right?
Oh, the
That's how far
recipe.
behind these guys are.
That is sad buys.
So they're just going to go right back to the tower because they understand that the more they pressure these towers, the more compelled Illinois are going to feel that they are going to, you know, feel the pressure of we have to go defend these towers. And the more that those guys come to defend the towers, the more they're going to lose team fights. And that just gets this item differential going that much faster. So right now, instead of responding to this tower, I think the right move is to try and collapse onto the Tiny, try to find the Brewmaster maybe, and shackle him up before he's able to use Primal Split. Do something somewhere else and just give up the tower because you're not defending that tower anyway.
Gold is a great
It's a very good point. At least Yuko has been trying to catch up in farm. He hasn't been contested in a while. He hasn't died yet. So that might be what they're looking to go towards here. Shadow Shaman going to top. Lucas, his Primal Split is on cooldown for another 17 seconds. But yeah, the level differential is way too big right now. I don't think they can get a kill unless they bring everyone. There's a Smoke of Deceit coming out on iMatter and Mr. Feed. They're going into mid. They find the Tusk, get silenced up, and the Shackle is there. He's going to be taken down, but No Nut is there as well. Static Field will take it, and there's a Ward Trap onto No Nut, but nobody's going crazy here. Oh, Neutral Creep actually denies No Nut. They needed that kill, but they won't be able to find nobody at the very least. That is very unfortunate.
Yeah, anything is better than nothing when you're in this position, right? The fact that they were able to get a very solid Shadow Fiend ult off at this stage in this game is a miracle. He should never be able to get into the positioning to wind that sucker up and throw it off from this kind of a gold deficit into a Tiny. No, it shouldn't happen. But the fact that they were able to make it happen does show you that they are still back in this game, because anything can happen in CSL.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but that was one of the craziest sequences. Those stone golems must have felt pity for their cousin Tiny, making sure to get the last hit to prevent Illinois from coming back even more closer.
Yeah, by the way, Tiny does have, I don't know if we called this out or not, I'm not exactly sure when it came out, but fairly recently I think Tiny got that Shadow Blade up.
Yeah.
He hasn't really used it so far. It seems like a weird item to buy and not immediately go start getting kills. Like, he should just be trolling for kills all the time. If you go for that item, the only value that it has is ganking.
He has been, yeah, as you said, just team fighting with his team rather than ganking with it. He might try to find Shadow Shaman rather here, but he does just kind of back out. Just going to be farming more on the Tiny. Looks like they're looking for something top here. Probably won't be able to find Yuko, but they'll be able to take this tower.
Okay, so finally items are starting to actually crawl out here. You got Blink Dagger in addition to the Shadow Blade. Blink Dagger is up on the Brewmaster. A Ganem Scepter is finished on the Razor as well, which is going to allow them to push just really fast. This is where you really start to get in trouble with your Illinois. On the Dire side, everything up to now was footnotes. It was forward. And geez, I mean, yeah, they're wasting some time on illusion, but now the Razor's going to have 189 stolen damage from that illusion to start pushing into this lane.
Yeah, it looks like he won't be able to utilize it though, but he is going to be pretty untouchable until that kind of wears off. Looks like they're going to transition this right over to a mid tower. 20 seconds until the Aegon Scepter upgraded Eye of the Storm comes back online. And
Yeah, I'm
they go
wondering
straight
at
into
what
it.
point in time this Morphling shows up to do something, because I understand he does not have a Lincoln Sphere yet, and he needs one really to be survivable, although I would also say the Lincoln Sphere doesn't actually block very much here. You can still be tossed backwards, even if you have a Lincoln Sphere. You can still be stunned by Tiny. You can also still be stunned by Craggy Exterior. You can still be slowed down by the impassable terrain that comes out of the Ice Shards. You can still be hit by the Thunderclap. And then they also have some pretty easy spells to use the target to lift, so you can still have your damage stolen if there's even a little bit of communication. Part of me thinks a BKB would have been the call here. You would have had it sooner. You would have been ready to fight. Yeah, it would have run out earlier in the game, but at least gives you some time, some ability to potentially take some mid-game fights and get your Shadow Fiend into damage mode.
Yeah, you're totally right. They have so many ways to also break the Lincolns, as you said. The Dragon Haze is great. Any spells from Brewmaster Split is great. You can just use a Cyclone to lift them into there, or like break the Lincolns. You can use a Stone Toss as well.
Yeah, or you can toss something at the Morphling. So you can either throw the Morphling backward, right, and that goes through Lincolns, or you can lift the Lincolns by tossing somebody at Morphling, or tossing Morphling at himself.
So there was a scan coming out here from Illinois. They do know this Roshan attempt is happening right now, but not much they can do about it anyways.
They do have a smoke in the inventory of the Shadow Shaman. They are just not going to be able to collect themselves fast enough about it. So right now on this defense, they have all ultimates up. They are ready. Of course, all ultimates are up here for Texas as well. And at this point in time, it's really all about positioning. If these guys can sit on the high ground with a very good Mass Serpent Ward placed behind to cut off the retreat, and they can kind of egg on Texas to dive too deep, they might be able to get a good defense here. But anything short of that, they're just going to find themselves kind of going toe-to-toe and slowly being chipped down. That tower's going to drop, and then you're just going to see Texas dive into Illinois and destroy them.
Yuko finishes his Lincoln Sphere. Maybe this just in time. They might need him for defense here. They do go up the high ground. Damage drain is going on to Matter. He does force himself out of there, but the damage is being done to the tower. Already half-life being taken. Can they do anything about it? It looks like Yuko isn't going to be coming back for this, but they might play it. They do blow the Aegis here. It's 58 life left on that tower. Here comes the Requiem. No, but this Repel is going to keep him safe for now. Here comes a split. Dead being chased down. The stone being tossed as well, but the Purification is going to keep him safe. These wards are doing a lot of work here. A couple more right clicks will be able to do this middle tower in, and it does get taken down. Guardian Angel comes in trying to assist. Matter taking a lot of magic damage, and nobody focusing on the objective so far. A stolen Snake Wards, actually a while after the Snake Wards was used, gets dropped on top of the other snakes. A snake versus snakes here. Now they're going to be able to utilize this to push the racks. Yuko still pushing the tier 2 there. He is halfway through that one. Matter gets the kill onto Maxi, but it is going to come out as a trade. Yuko finally coming back here. TP's in as well. Lucas taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have to split up. He has 75 seconds left on that. Yuko is going to maybe focus on the wards here. Yes, he is, but nobody now is going to be very threatening. Erotic Chopsticks trying to get himself out of the base. Can he get in the range for Repel? No, the damage is there to instantly blow the Omni Knight, but the damage there from the Yuko to be able to blow up that Tiny. Stuns coming up, but Yuko is of course very tanky with that morph, but he has 300 health. He's got to watch out. That pushes him so far away, stuns him for a very long time. Suibawa should be able to chase this down with that degen, or he goes down. Let's see if they can finish up here, taking down nobody. He is probably gonna get. He's very fast, but Dead is also very fast as well. Rubik also coming in. Oh my god, damage is so huge. He's losing all of his damage. 150. One more last hit will do it. Oh, the static field is going to be enough anyways. But Matter is here. He blinks forward, but nobody is super tanky. Oh, he misses all 3 of his raises. Let's see how long this chase is going to go for, and it looks like that is actually going to be the end. And finally, What do you think about that long and extended fight?
So that actually could have gone a lot worse for Illinois. It probably should have gone a lot worse for Illinois. That said, I think there were really two aspects of that fight that characterize this game. The first aspect is that the Serpent Wards got stolen from the Shadow Shaman, as you mentioned, like well after the wards had been placed. That got, I believe, stolen and then replaced, right, by the Rubik. And the reason that happened is because Shadow Shaman is so far behind, he doesn't have mana boots yet. So he placed down those Serpent Wards, and he had no mana left to cast any other spells. His mana pool was too low. He had used a couple of engaging spells already built in the fight. And just that difference made such an enormous impact, right? That's what we're talking about when we say, oh, a little bit of gold difference can go a long way. If you had given 800 more gold to Mr. Feed, or even if he had just had a mango in his inventory, that whole fight could have gone very differently. The tower wouldn't have fallen as quickly. The ranged barracks wouldn't have fallen as quickly. And maybe they get a slightly more favorable trade and keep the melee barracks up. The other thing that really characterized that was the Shadow Fiend.
Oh, Dona finds dead in the forest. Oh my goodness, the damage is huge.
Yeah, there's no living through that. But yeah, the Shadow Fiend was unable to get that Requiem of Souls off onto the Razor when he respawned because he didn't trust his team. He didn't trust his Omni Knight to keep him alive, and he didn't trust his Omni Knight to repel him. Right. If he had just trusted his Omni Knight to throw out a heal and then repel, they would have been able to pretty much instant kill that Razor the second time up, and that whole defense goes much different.
Oh, now high ground 10. Nona blinks and instantly blows away. I matter. Oh, that is a terrible start here for Illinois. They're probably going to blow the buyback here. Yeah, they're going to expend it. But Texas, they're not afraid. UT Austin going to stay high ground here. I matter does come in with those raises, doing half life damage to nobody. But the purification is stolen. Nobody doesn't mind that at all, and the Spirit Vessel there as well. Mr. Feet getting chased down with a big roll in here with all the pandas and the supports. The punch is going to be there to take down that support. Swai Baba is going to barely get out there alive with that Guardian Angel, barely surviving that Spirit Vessel as well. Matter trying to go there, defend this by himself, but nobody doesn't care. He is so tanky with that the Pipe of Insight. Serpent Wards not doing anything, everyone just ignoring. Yuko goes in, but the Purification doing so much work healing him up. The Roland's going to be there, but Yuko, let's see if they can take him down, but he's very tanky as always. But he has a way for him, he can get out right now. Matter is going back in. Heroic Chopsticks not even going to get taken down from that. Purification there to keep himself safe. Mr. Feet, he respawned that time because it's such a low level. He comes back and dies immediately anyways. Matter finally gets taken down, and the shards are blocking them from being able to go back in. Dead is stuck in the outside. Here comes a static field trying to see if they can take any more, and then the ice shards yet again cuts off their chase.
I wonder if Illinois have forgotten that they can GG out of this game, that they don't need to wait. In theory, if Texas just run into the fountain and die a couple of times, they're back in this game.
They find Yuko. Oh my god, he didn't have time to morph out of that. That was way too much damage, and the Roland coming in here as well. And as you mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a GG come out anytime soon with both their carries dead, all three of their cores dead, or are they going to stick in this?
There we go. All Texas wanted was they wanted to defeat them by destroying the morale. This is actually a strategy I've seen CSL teams use before. If you can force your opponents to GG out without, after just fountain farming them, the idea is that you might tilt them, and they might play even worse next game, and you get an easy 2-0. So there is a strategic reason that you might want to do that in this series as opposed to just being a dick in pubs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, I think it's a viable strategy. I mean, morale is a part of any competitive sport in general, and keeping your team together, and that's also part of a skill in being a great, competitive player, is being able to work through that kind of, difficulty with your team. After a tough loss, how do you come back? And it does challenge teamwork, and also communication, and just how you can, make sure you stay positive and don't let that loss, don't carry that over into the next game.
Yeah, exactly. Whether or not this team is able to not carry it over into the next game is going to be of the utmost importance to their potential for success. Because if they play the same game that they just played, this is going to be a very quick 2-0. Yeah, but we are gonna be jumping into the lobby here pretty soon. I think probably just want to go ahead and throw a shout out to some of our sponsorship here, since we are in between games. And as always, we have nothing but gratitude for the largest streaming platform in gaming. They support collegiate esports. Of course, that is twitch.tv, where you are watching this and hearing our voices, from PAX East to PAX West and many more events. The CSL would not be what it is today without the help and support from Twitch TV. Be sure to look out for cool opportunities to get involved with Twitch in the near future, and be sure to show them some love for their support with us. Tweet at them, twitter.com/Twitch, and let them know that you appreciate that they are supporting collegiate Dota, collegiate CSGO, collegiate LoL, and all of these other great programs that CSL is offering to give effectively students scholarships for playing games.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, we can't thank Twitch enough. They bring us all the great esports. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching CSL. I mean, we're trying to grow esports. I mean, and I think the next step, having college esports, is such a fun idea.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a value to these collegiate games and an entertainment factor, I think, that you do not get from professional level Dota, or even like lower tier professional, like minor league level Dota, right? And I think the same is true for the CSGO games that they play, the Hearthstone games that they play, League of Legends games. I'm honestly not entirely caught up with all of the titles that CSL is offering these days, because they do so much. But being able to see the development of a team over the course of a season, being able to see the way that players who don't have the time to just drill 8, 10, 12 hours a day, seeing them progress, it gives you a lot more potential excitement from not knowing what's going to happen. It allows you to see different types of metagame, different types of strategies. It also allows you to see sorts of non-linear thinking when teams are forced to go up against opponents that are much better than them, but they still have a chance to beat. Like you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, also another thing about this is it might be a place where you can find upcoming talent. You might never know. I mean, some of these players are very talented, and they might be the future of Dota esports. You might see them later. You never know. Like in 2 years, maybe they'll be the international. Maybe they'll play for some of the majors.
We've been doing this for a while. I know factually that we have seen scouts for major teams watching CSL finals, because we do LAN finals, have for the last 3 years at least. We have talked to managers of professional teams. We've talked to people who work in auxiliary capacity with professional teams that do keep an eye on these clubs. And like I said, for example, Banana Slam Jamma, back when he was just a streamer who was starting to make a name for himself, he was playing in CSL.
Dire team ban.
Yeah, and into the game we go here. The